that gorgeous? Wow. And I don't know if it's toxic or not. It is eating a plant that's probably got quite a lot of aromatic herbs in it. It's not smelly, so I doubt it's that toxic. But clearly the coloration and those spikes sitting on it are supposed to be a deterrent against predators. We'll put him back, I think. Otherwise he'll be very cross. Here we go. Alright. Taylor is still with Kuchava, which means the scared one. I don't know why Kuchava is scared, so please ask Taylor why Kuchava should be scared. And also, please ask her what the ancestry is, because I have absolutely no idea.
James, I don't know what to say to you now, but you got me. I'm silent. I have got no words to respond to that. She's honestly a beautiful leopard, this young Kuchava, but she's now decided after a hard day of marking her territory that she's just going to have a little rest up on this termite mound. Now, she actually reminds me a lot of Lisbon, my favorite leopard from down in the southern Sabi Sand. Just of her entire behavior, like always up in a Marula tree by the seams of it, and if she's not in a Marula tree, then she's on a termite mound, which is really lovely. And I suppose it is typical leopard behavior because a lot of them do it. But it is just, she doesn't walk past one termite mound without climbing up it, David? And I know she's hungry. She's definitely she's been looking for something to eat, but she hasn't quite found what her taste buds are after. Apparently, rock monitor was not on the menu for this leopard. So she must be doing all right if she's able to be picky. I mean, like I said, if it was Votumi or if it was Hasana or Shongile, they would have had a grand day with that rock monitor. They would probably still be playing with it. Now, I did a quick count as to how many leopards I've seen since I've been in the Sabi Sand. And I've just got to, you probably heard me click my pen because I remembered one. I have to add one very quickly. I have seen in total, including up here in the northern Sabi Sand, you can see on this page over here, I've seen 26 leopards. Most of them down south, and then a couple, of course, my apologies for my handwriting, it's not very neat when I have to write in the car and on my lap. That is so embarrassing. David, quickly zoom away. Don't let them see my horrible handwriting now. But most importantly is my list, and you can see this one. I don't mind. It's a list of leopards I still need to see. And of course, on top of the list is the Anderson male. And I still haven't seen Thandi and her cub. And then, of course, Shavambalana is another one I'd love to add to my list. And I'm sure there's many, many more leopards that I still don't know about. Like I said, Kuchava was a ghost to me. I had no idea. But it is wonderful. And it's days like these that make me so excited to be out in the bush. Because just when you think that you think you know enough about an area, or you know the animals, something like this surprises you. And just puts you back into reality, just to remind you how amazing nature really is. And I have a question for all of you, because I know a couple of you have been watching for many, many years now. And hopefully some of you have been watching since this leopard was born, so August, September 2014. Maybe you can tell me, when was the last time Kuchava was seen while we were live? That's quite interesting, because I've never really heard Jamie or Brent speak about it, and I've never heard James speak about her either. So it's quite interesting. And, well, if you do know the answer, maybe you can remember a site. Maybe it was a favorite sighting of yours. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can send, well, some comments to questions at WildEarthTV if you do not have a Twitter account. But she's fast asleep. But her general direction seems to be going east again, so I think she's going to cross onto Nkoro. And then from Nkoro, I'm not sure where she's going to go. There's plenty of places. She's a young leopard. Like I said, I haven't heard of her, so I'm not sure where she's completely set up. And again, if you know the answer to that, if you know where she likes to hang out, that is valuable information, and I'd love to know about it so that I can add it to my leopard book and build my own little database on how to remember the different cats. Now, Cressy, you're actually wondering this afternoon, why do leopards like to sit on termite mounds? It's very typical, isn't it, Cressy? Up in termite mounds, up on the trees. And the main reason for it is now she's decided it's a cool spot to sleep. But typically they'll move from one termite mound to another, very much like a cheetah does, in search of higher ground so that they can scan the area. So it's more of a vantage point. Sitting up in the tree can be a little bit different. It's nice and cool up there. You've got the shade of the trees, and often you'll avoid insects, the biting flies and things that are flying down sort of on the lower levels. So they'll avoid the insects that way by sitting in the trees. And then, of course, as most of you know, is that often when a leopard catches its prey, and this is also not set in stone because we know that Shadow does not... she hasn't really, I don't think anyone's ever seen her with a kill in a tree, but they take their kills up to the tops of trees to keep them up and out of sort of harm's way, because if they were to leave them down on the ground, hyenas, other leopards, lions, of course, could just steal it from the leopard, and after all that hard work of actually hunting and catching that animal, it would be terrible to just lose your meal within a couple of minutes. So very powerful shoulders. So sometimes when they climb up and they've popped their kill in the tree, they'll just stay up there as well. So, Cressy, I hope that answers your question, but it's for a number of different reasons. And that's another thing that I love about the bush, is that there's no simple answer to anything. There's always the exception. There's always this and that, but they do this too. And that's something that you'll be surprised by. Animal behavior, you cannot know it all. I'm sure there's days where even James and Brent and Steph, the most experienced, are surprised by what animals do. Hello, Susan Barker. It's fantastic to hear from you. And Susan Barker, everybody, is one of our new viewers, so please be sure to welcome her and give her the real Safari Live welcome. Now, Susan, you were wondering if leopards hunt at night. Most cats will predominantly hunt in the evening, because they've got better eyesight than the animals that they are going after. So this gives them, of course, the upper hand, and also their camouflage works exceptionally well at night. But all the cats are opportunistic, the lions, leopards, and they don't know when they could catch something. So potentially during the day when it's 100 Fahrenheit, no problem. I've seen both leopard and lion hunting in that weather. So it's really just when something comes around. But Kuchava was putting in a concerted effort earlier at actually going out and looking for something. And Byron was telling you all how hot it was earlier, but it has cooled down tremendously. The sun has now starting to disappeared behind some of the clouds, which has cooled it down. And Kuchava has actually taken an advantage here because it's cooler. She's not going to be using as much energy as what she would be if it was an exceptionally hot summer's day and the clouds weren't here. I think it would be quite warm. And so she's decided that she was going to move around, check from termite mound to termite mound, see if there was maybe a steenbok or a duiker or anything really, even a guinea fowl I'm sure she would have gone after. And she put in an effort, but unfortunately her plan was foiled and now she needs a nap. Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Liz. Liz, you said that the first time, the last time that you saw Kuchava was on the 1st of September. So I presume you mean this year, September. I hadn't even started yet, so wonderful. I shall add that to my notes. But now talking about behaviors of leopards being up in the trees and on termite mounds, James Henry has got himself stuck in a tree.
I'm more displaying cheetah behavior, everybody. They like to climb these sorts of trees. They're more sort of my style. You can walk up them rather than having to climb them, and that's exactly what cheetahs do. Cheetahs do climb trees like this, but they don't have the claws, of course, that get them up into the trees that leopards get into. Now, this kind of vantage point obviously gives you a bit of space to see. You can see what's going on around the place. It also offers a slightly different audio perspective. So because I'm not quite so close to the ground, I guess this is what Brian feels like all the time, I can hear much further around me. Now, I can basically tell you that I haven't heard any animal life. We did hear a couple of oxpeckers off that way, but we're heading down towards the southern boundary to see if we can't find, well, I told you, Marula, but also there's some elephant tracks here, and if I come down the tree, This could be very embarrassing. Come over here a sec, Craig. Thank you, 10 out of 10 I got. Dainty ballerina. You can see that elephants have come past here, and you can also see, perhaps, the height of an elephant's bottom. This is Strychnos madagascarensis, and in my humble opinion, this elephant has done exactly what Strychnos madagascarensis deserves. It is my worst plant out here, produces no fruit that is edible. It just grows up in places and makes them thick and unattractive. And this elephant thinks the same, so it has voided its bowels on top of the tree in order to show how disgusted it was with Strychnos madagascarensis. Anyway, this is the herd of elephants that we were kind of coming through here to try and find. This is not very fresh though. If I take it off the tree, and I am going to put it straight back there, it's wet, but it's got that sort of crust on it from the sun, and it also has a it's cold, so you can tell that it is not recent. We'll just check if it's... No, it's cold all the way through. And Ian, you're wondering if elephants eat the stones of marulas. They do. They eat them, but they don't chew them. So they only are after the juice of the marula fruits. I'll try, and this one hasn't been very successful in finding any marulas. But if we find some more dung, and the marula's out now, of course, if we find some more dung, we'll be able to see or I'll be able to show you that they don't ever crush the pips, so they never bite down on them sufficiently to crush them. They always just kind of almost half-heartedly chew the skin, suck the juice out, or the juice gets sucked out probably in the digestive process, and then they come out the other end, and the pips are completely unharmed. Alrighty, let's filter gently through here. And Herbert has found yet more just in front of us. We'll find out what it is shortly. Our glorious afternoon is turning into a slightly cloudy one on account of that storm coming in from the west. I don't think that's going to hit us, because we have seldom had any rain from the west this year. It's been much more from the south and east, which I think I remember telling you at the beginning of the season was unlikely. Well, I've clearly been talking utter nonsense. Well, come in. No, he says he's just looking. He hasn't found anything of particular note. So I'll find you something of particular note in the next 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. Here is the plant, and I wonder if any of you have managed to send through an answer. This is the plant we looked at earlier, and it's the one with that great big tuber that you can use if you want to void your bowels. And I was hoping for a slightly more complete version, and there it is, but I'm still none the wiser as to what it is. We can have a smell of it. All I can smell now, I'm afraid, on my hands is really pretty grotty because of the elephant dung that I've just picked up. Never mind. So anybody who knows what that is, please send it through. Oh, Christine, you think it's a bush yam? Well, could be some kind of bush yam. Yes, absolutely. Not a very edible one. And this is a beautiful piece of grass. And I must confess, while it looks like one of the Setaria species, I'm not convinced that's what it is, so I might have to bring my grass book out here. This time of the year is difficult because it is a Setaria species, and it's just a young one. There we go, I have spotted a more mature one. It will eventually look like that. There we go. Beautiful. And FO, is it FO? Says it's a yucca. Beck O says it's a yucca. Thank you very much for that, Beck O. I'll check that out too as soon as we get home. Alrighty, let us continue along here. I was kind of hoping to find some sort of big game on this walk, but so far we've been unsuccessful. Anyway, Byron's managed to find relatively big game, of course. Big game, does it talk as big a game as he does? Let's go and find out.
We have indeed, James. We've managed to find a lovely herd of waterbuck. And quite a few here. There are 2 big bulls and a number of females. Now they've just wandered into a bit of a thick area, but I'm hoping they do decide to come out. Look at that very clear white rump. A white ring around the rump, rather. Makes it very easy to identify the waterbuck. The only antelope with that white ring around the rump. Let's just see. I'm hoping these males come out. I'm going to sit here quietly for a while. See if the males do follow these females. It did look as if the males were interested in mating with some of these females. Let's have a look. Here they come. There's the one male, and he was the one that was showing interest in these females, having a good look to see if he could potentially mate with them. See how sniffing and smelling. Oh, there's another car coming. I might just have to move off slightly. And just see if I can just go behind this tree quickly. There we go, and we should still get a view of them. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. It's always nice to spend some time with the different antelope species because they are so beautiful and they're all quite different. If you look at the ears and the nose, and especially in these waterbuck, and those shaggy coats, look at that long hair on this female. It looks quite interesting. Let's see, they might walk across in front of us. And there we go, it looks like they're all coming across. Fantastic. And 2 females, and I'm sure you've all noticed already, the females do not have horns and only the males do with the waterbuck. And there's an Impala wanting to be a waterbuck. It's not unusual to find different species of antelope in the same area or feeding together, especially antelope like this, the waterbuck and the Impala. The waterbuck, they browse as well as graze, but mixed feeders, generally browse. Whereas the Impala are mixed feeders, so they will browse, which means feed off leaves of trees, or graze, which means eat the grass. So they will do both. So when you have different antelope moving through an area, they probably don't have direct competition with one another when it comes to food, but they will stick together to warn each other if there are potentially any predators around. So lovely to see them, and they just look like they're moving across the road now towards that other thicket, possibly going to carry on feeding. Now, Joshua, you want to know, so some antelope species are territorial, Josh, and it depends. Time of year, and I say time of year because obviously mating is very important. So you can get Impala rams, for example, that become slightly territorial. They'll find an area and they'll try and chase out any other males. And they'll try and get a herd of females together to mate with. Another antelope species it is the wildebeest. The wildebeest will move around and try to set up a territory for themselves. However, a big male wildebeest may keep that territory until its mating season, and then he will try and hopefully some females will pass into his territory, and he will try and keep them there until he can mate with them, and eventually they move off. Alright, so speaking about these antelope looking out for predators and keeping a watchful eye out for them, Taylor is still with that leopard. Let's go have a look.
She's got the most lovely pattern on her back, but it's different. It's not quite striking like a jaguar's pattern, a lot of black. It's just very, very, very subtle, but beautiful nonetheless, as well. Any leopard's coat really is. But it seems as though Kuchava, now I've swapped her name around, Kuchava, sorry about that, has settled in. She's doing a bit of wound care. She was actually licking her wound just a moment ago, which is good to see. So she is keeping it clean, making sure that it isn't an infection. And now, of course, she's just taking care of her paws and her face. But you can see that wound then. You can see the flies hanging around it. But I don't think that she will get anything like Nkuhuma, one of the Birmingham male lions. Remember, he had the myiasis. But she seems to take good care of herself. Isn't that just absolutely lovely? She woke up. She'd been napping for quite some time. But this is what happens out in the bushes. You've got to be willing to sit and wait for just the smallest thing to really happen. Now I'm wondering if she's actually going to get up now, seeing as though she did a big yawn just a moment ago. She's now grooming herself. So perhaps she's going to get on the move. So we'll stick with her for a couple more minutes. But if she does pop her head back down onto the ground, David and I had seen some elephants very, very far into the thicket, so hopefully we'll go and try and relocate on them. You can see that wound quite nicely now. And it's healing, it's scabbing, which is good. And once it is completely scabbed, then the hair will start to regrow as well. Now, Rice, good afternoon to you. You were wondering if leopards and lions have the same sleeping patterns. It's fairly similar. Most of them doing their sleeping during the day, during the heat of the day. But leopards don't quite need to rest up as long as a leopard does. Sorry, the other way around. Leopards don't need to rest up as long as lions do. There we go. That's what I meant to say. So lions will typically sleep for 18 to 20 hours. And I put it on average, a leopard sort of sleeping maybe just shy of 16 hours. So it's really a much of a muchness. But either way, they both need to get some rest in so that their batteries are recharged and they're able to go out and will potentially successfully hunt something. Well, we all know, unfortunately, these poor cats don't have the greatest hunting capabilities, and you can see the flies are now starting to bother her on that wound. So she's just using her tail as a fly swatter. But they'll keep sort of going back there. There's nothing she can really do to keep them at bay all the time. You can hear her tails going again. And they might be biting her. There's lots of these terrible little biting flies at the moment. And I'm sure you've seen James swatting away. You've definitely seen me swatting away as well. Here we go. Cleaning her wound like I said she was. Good girl. Something's now caught her attention. You see how her ears have perked up? She's gone from that sort of very relaxed and calm grooming herself to, what's that? What's over there? And we unfortunately can't see what she's spotted, or maybe she heard something, because we've got a massive termite mound in front of us. But she is very happy up on this mound. And I hope that she does successfully catch something, whether we see it or not. It would be fantastic if we can see it. But for a young leopard like this, I think it's important to keep up with just small meals all the time. I love that tail. I love the way that it bends and how flexible it really is. She looks like she wants to go. She keeps sort of edging forward and moving around slightly. David, let's go round. Let's do let's go in front of her quickly and have one last view of her beautiful face. And maybe we can see what's caught her attention. It could just be something small like a bird. Up little incline we go. Wait. No, I can't see anything as we scan around here. Just going to pull off to the side. Got flies bothering me now as well. Here we go. Oh, sorry, girl. Oh, actually, how beautiful is that with the clouds? All the little cumulus clouds. Look at that tail. Look at it flicker. Now we watched her, how she started to groom and sort of wake up. And now, Sandy, you were actually wondering, why do the animals, or typically the cats, groom themselves before they get up? Now, Sandy, how I like to think about it is basically before you go to work in the morning or before you go to the shops or anything like that, before you do anything, you leave the house. You have a shower, you put your makeup on, you brush your teeth, and basically that's exactly the same thing as what these leopards are doing, is that they're cleaning themselves, getting rid of the old scent, and then moving on with their day. We're going to stick with her, I think, for a little bit. Something has caught her attention. But as you know, James is on foot, and he's stumbled across my absolute favorite animal.
We didn't so much stumble across them as to hear them bathing in the mud there. Now, there is very little cover for us here, and it's a herd of elephants, so we're not going to try and get too much closer. And what we've got here, I'll just stand out in front of the camera. Now, you were with Steph this morning with a big bull elephant, and a bull elephant, although that one was in must that you had, is a little bit more predictable. With the herds, the females are obviously extremely protective of the youngsters. And so what you don't want to do is go blundering around the corner into a matriarch who's feeling particularly cantankerous after a rough day looking after the kids. So we just watched them from here for a little while, and then I might sneak a little bit further forward to the tree over there. I'm just talking to Herbie at the same time. I'm going to leave. In fact, we can come, just follow me very slowly. We'll just see if we can't get a better view from this side. Very quiet, watching where we walk. I've checked the wind, it's blowing directly from them to us. And the distance between us and those elephants is now about 40 meters or so, 50 meters. So about 150 feet or so. This is so exciting. Okay, there they are. Come over here, Craig. You can just see a cow there. You see her? There we are, well done. Don't know exactly where they're moving. They seem to be heading west and south. And we don't want to get in their path. We're not in their path. We also ideally don't want them to know that we're here. And this is just the most profound kind of bush experience that you can have. There's a little bit of edge to it because we know, of course, that we are pretty much defenseless against elephants but for our brains. We know that they don't really like seeing us on foot. So there is that edge to the sighting. But at the same time, we're in the presence, of course, of one of the world's most magnificent creatures. And we're on foot while we're here with them. We're on foot while we're here with them. I don't think that's English, but that's because I'm so excited by the elephants. And this is just the best way to experience the wild. There we have, I think it's a cow coming out. Or a young bull. In fact, it's probably a young bull. Most of the questions we get asked when we're in a sighting like this is, can they see us? How dangerous is it? And that's really not what we're trying to get across here. What we're trying to get across here is the experience of a giant animal like that on foot, and how insignificant we are as human beings. It's quite difficult for me to give you that impression, but through the story that I'm telling to you. And the other question that gets asked is, can they see us? Can they hear us? Can they smell us? There's another little one coming into view there. I think elephants see much better than we think they do. If they were to look directly in this direction, we're quite nicely backed up. We're not silhouetted. They might miss us. Could they hear us? No, not with the wind blowing from them towards us, and their flapping ears, and their tearing of the grass, and their cavorting around, some youngsters moving around. So I don't think they could hear us. Could they smell us? No, because we have very good wind. Enlightened Guru, I love that word, you say, what would we do if they headed straight towards us? Well, let's just see if we can, let's go this way a little bit and we get another view. Enlightened Guru, we have an escape plan already mapped out. So while I am trying to get us a view of the elephants, there they are, I can see a big herd there moving north now up the road. While I am sort of discussing this with you, Herbert is constantly searching around the bush, and he's looking for security. And what we would do, there's a termite mound behind us, and the first thing we do if we decided things were getting unsafe would be to turn and get behind that termite mound so that they had no view of us, and then we'd walk as quickly as possible out of the way. But this herd is not aware of us at the moment. They've got no idea that we're here, and that's just really great. Alright, we're going to try and get to this termite mound here, behind the pan, because the herd is moving off. There's a pan of water here, and it's got a really nice piece of cover on it. So we'll try and get one last view. While we do that, let's head back across to Taylor, who is still with Kuchava.
And my absolute favorite, you can start to see the Easter Bunny in the moon now. That's what I was always told as a kid, that that's where the Easter Bunny lives, is all the way up in the moon. I can't believe I actually said that out loud. That's one of the most embarrassing stories, of course, that my parents told me, and I went and told all my friends at school, and they all laughed at me growing up. I was horribly teased, and I'm traumatized about the experience still to this day. And yes, I still believe that the Easter Bunny lives in the moon, just in case you were wondering. But our beautiful girl, she moved a little bit, not too much. She actually sat up, and remember just a moment ago we saw her twitching her ears, and we weren't quite sure as to what she'd seen. And then when we came around the other side of the termite mound, in the far distance, we saw a little bit of movement, and it seemed to have been a herd of kudu that were moving just away from her. But I think she knew that that was way too large. She would never ever be able to catch a fully grown kudu, and there unfortunately weren't any young calves by their mother's sides. So she's decided, and she's given up, and she's lost interest now. And she's just resting again. But this has been a really, really special day for me. Another new leopard, which is fantastic. And also, what a lovely girl. The leopards up here in the north really are fantastic contenders. Even though down south you see a lot more, I suppose it's about quality, not quantity, isn't it, hey, David? And this is a new leopard for David, too. David, we should actually do your list of leopards. Just to what we'll make a page in my book, David's leopards, as to the ones that he's seen. But both David and I have both agreed that the next leopard we need to see, it's not even want, we have to see it, is of course the Anderson male. And up she goes again. Let's see what she's going to do next. Just when I keep thinking she's going to go to sleep, she just keeps surprising me. She's a really lovely girl. And she has a very sort of peaceful vibe about her. A big yawn. Well, no, not quite a big yawn, just a little one. It was a lazy yawn. Right, let's quickly go forward and see where she's going to disappear to. Sorry, David, we were going through all the little holes. Now this is going to be exceptionally tricky to try and maneuver through some of this thick stuff, because it's not just the green monkey thorns now. There's a whole lot of other trees we're going to have to contend with. So I don't know if we're actually going to take a gamble and go through some of this. I think we shall watch her until she disappears into the distance, because I think we've had an exceptional afternoon with her. I mean, it wasn't really even 20 minutes into the show and Andrew had found her, and of course we then relocated on her and followed her, and it's just got better and better as the day has gone on. And I suspect she let's see if she's going to mark her territory here, just as James is forgotten how to speak English because he's excited. Oh, hello. Hang on. Right, sorry David, I just want to quickly get on the move there. Let's quickly have a look at her scene. That was quite nice. I was not expecting that at all. Both David and I were completely pleasantly taken by surprise. No, I'm just going to poke our nose in here and have one more look at her, and then there's another vehicle that would like to have a look, and then we will let them really enjoy them. We're right. Also, we've got an aerial at the back that we need to just drop very quickly. I'm just going to move forward a little bit, David, and then just so the other vehicle can squeeze in. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. Isn't that lovely, David? And I hope that you're all taking screenshots and saving them. Oh, look at her. She's doing the phlegm and grimace. Love the way that she's poking her tongue out. She's obviously picked up on a scent. Maybe another leopard was doing exactly what she's doing. It seems to be the perfect tree to sit in. Rightio. But I think we're going to say goodbye to this beautiful girl, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and save those screenshots. Send them through to #SafariLive. But we're going to send you back across to Byron, who's got a beautiful bird.
We do indeed have a beautiful bird, the black-bellied bustard. Wow, Taylor, it sounds like you had such a... Hang on. There we go, the little display of the black-bellied bustard. But as I was saying, wow, Taylor, it sounds like you had such an amazing leopard sighting. That is fantastic. It's really, really great. It's just disappearing. It's amazing how well camouflaged these birds are, especially now this time of year. The long grass makes it so much easier for them just to disappear. I can hear some branches breaking in the distance. I think it's the elephant that James possibly saw. Just trying to look to see if I can see them, but I can't. Not at the moment. And then the black-bellied bustards disappeared. Look at this wonderful view though. You see the cloud cover. We were speaking about it earlier, and I said we'll try and give you a view of it, and you can see how the clouds have settled in a little bit, but I'm still not so sure if it's going to rain or not. Maybe later this evening. Would be nice for some more rain. It's always lovely having the rain in the bush. Beautiful afternoon, wonderful temperature. It's so nice and cool. It's really great. So good to be back. Let's see what else we can find, Brian. It's really just so nice driving around, taking a slow drive, just seeing what we bump into. You know, there's so much going on at the moment. A lot of bird activity. Even though we're not seeing that many animals, and it'll probably be a bit harder to find animals at the moment because the bush is so much thicker. And there's a lot of food and water all over. So animals just end up dispersing a little bit and moving out, maybe expanding territories or general movements a little bit. See, I'm sure there's, just having a look at these termite mounds as I drive past, because I'm sure with all the rain and that we've had, there's probably some very active termite mounds. This one actually doesn't look active, even though that soil is a bit darker at the top. It's not fresh soil that's been added on. It's just darker soil that was probably added on a while ago. It's not fresh soil. It's not that rich, dark, fresh soil that we're used to seeing from termites. But with all the rain and that, and I actually witnessed this in December, not too long ago. So just after Christmas, when we had all that rain in this area, and as I mentioned, I wasn't too far north of here, in an area known as the Timbavati, and very soon after the rain, got to see all the alates, the winged termites, coming out of the mounds and dispersing all over to basically go and start a new colony. But it was amazing to see how the birds then came through hunting those alates and just on the wing catching these little flying termites or winged termites. And one of the birds I saw, which I haven't seen for quite some time, are the red-billed quilias. Let me actually see if I can find you a picture of them quickly, just to show you. And I'll tell you why I love them so much. And give me 2 seconds. Let me just... there we go. And but why I love them so much is because these little birds, and there they are. These little birds are often in very, very large flocks. Now, we don't, in this area, we don't really get huge amounts, but I mean, you still get a large group of them, and you can see why they're called red-billed quilias, because of that beautiful red beak or red bill. And they're the ones, these birds are the ones that form those massive, it looks almost like a swarm of birds, these huge flocks of birds that fly through areas. And what they do is they then look for insects as well as seeds, and that they also feed on seeds. But you actually see it looks like a cloud of birds moving, and they all move together. It's incredible, and it's known as a murmuration when they do that beautiful display in the air, when they all flock and move from one side to the other. And the quilias are very, very well known for that. But I saw small groups of quilias coming through, and they do move through. They've got seasonal movements, do move through certain areas, and it was interesting to see them catching those little termites. So nice to see those around. James, you wanted to know did I have any other interesting sightings while I was away? James, got to see some leopards, lions, lots of elephant, which was nice. One of the highlights though was a hyena den that we got to see, and a few different ages of cubs, in fact, and got to see tiny little cubs about this size. So that was one of the highlights, I would say. It was nice to see them. And then, and what else? And I did a bit of walking, got to walk and view some elephant on foot quite a bit, actually, which was nice. Always love doing that. So that was it. It was quite fun. So yeah. But just being in the bush was nice, especially with the rain over that Christmas and New Year period. It was much cooler, and the temperature was great. Lovely summer rains. Now, because of the rains, the air is very, very clear at the moment. And remember, I was mentioning earlier how I drove through the Black-bellied River Canyon through the Drakensberg, and now you can see it very, very clearly from here. Have a look at that in the distance. So that is where the Black-bellied River Canyon is situated. That's the start of the Drakensberg mountain range. From there, look how clear it is. Actually looks like it's even closer today because of the clear skies that we've got. As I was saying, as I came through there this morning, seeing the Olifant River and seeing how green it is around there. Around that canyon. Now, the Blyder River Canyon, for those of you who don't know, it is the third largest canyon in the world. And but it is in fact the greenest. So especially because with all this rain that we've had now, it is really, really spectacular. Now, the largest canyon, obviously, is the Grand Canyon. And then we have the Fish River Canyon up in Namibia, and then the Blyder River Canyon, this one that we get to see from here. So, very, very nice. But like I said, the greenest canyon. Very, very lush, very green. Lots of water around there. And very, very beautiful. Then you get a nice view of the cloud cover starting to form. So it does appear as if there is rain on the horizon that could be coming this way. Who knows? Such a nice afternoon. It's interesting. I would have thought, especially in a clearing like this, I would have thought to have found more wildebeest and zebra, perhaps passing through, or impala, but maybe not just yet. Maybe it's still quite light, so perhaps later on during the evening you might get those animals coming out. Oh dear, it sounds like James is taking a break again and he's having a picnic.
We're having more sort of a sundowner here. Herbert is using the traditional method of chopping open some marulas, and there are the nuts. We pull them out of a piece of elephant tongue, and here he's going to turn and show you now. There we are. Now, this is not I have tried to do that, but it seems to be an entirely impossible thing to do unless you're extremely experienced. Open it up, Herbie. Let's have a look. You got to hit it in just the right place. And there it is. And still, you've got to open up the cover. And there's the nut.
The nut.
And this is like a mild walnut, but it's, you can imagine the amount of work that it takes to get one of these out. And I always like to tell the story of old Renis's mother, who I used to go and visit sometimes and Dixie is the village just outside where we live, and she used to sit day in and day out after she'd retired and was too old to do anything else, but she'd sit and crush these things with the rocks all day long. Myself.
Now, I apologize about that, everybody. As you know, we're in Africa and sometimes the gremlins jump aboard. But don't worry, James will be back and he'll repeat everything that you missed out. Now, I know James was eating marulas. I had a packet full of marulas. David and I have eaten them all this afternoon. So, the next thing on our agenda this afternoon is hopefully we're going to bump into these elephants that were quite close to the Cheetah Plains Lodge on our way out. They were hiding in the bushes when we first passed them. So, that's going to be our first thing that we're hopefully going to find. And then the next thing we have to do before we finish today is we've got to fill this packet with green marulas so that they can sit in my room for 2 or 3 days until they go a little bit yellow, and then they're just delicious. But David, we'll put them in the freezer so that they're nice and cold. And I think that will be a lovely, tasty snack, nutritious snack filled with vitamin C and with lots of sugar as well. So we'll be buzzing from the marula fruits, the good kind of buzz though. Oops, sorry, aerial. Hit the aerial on a branch. Actually, aren't we coming up to the lodge now, David? We are, right. So we're going to keep our eyes open for some elephants now. They were a little bit further down, but they looked like they were going to cross the road and actually come across into Cheetah Plains. They looked like they were actually on Nkoro. So hopefully they'll be here now, which would be wonderful, because if I can get to show you elephants and then we spent the whole afternoon with a leopard, I'll be very happy, girl, that the elephants have been here. Look at this. Look how naughty they are. They were here. Look at what has happened in the middle of the road. They have pulled up an old water pipe. Now, as you can see, they weren't successful, though, in getting any water because there's none that is spewed out over the road. But they pulled it out, and now maintenance will have to come and, well, fix it. Maybe cut it off. Maybe they'll have to repair the pipe. I'm not sure what it is used for. It could be an old irrigation pipe, because some of these areas up here were sort of used as farmland as well. Mainly it was hunting, though, that was going on up in these private sectors, but this is many, many moons ago, of course, and so it could be an old irrigation pipe from that the elephants decided to pull up the ground. And, well, I hope that the Cheetah Plains Lodge just hasn't all of a sudden lost water, because that would be terrible.
It was him having a dump, as it were, and he's standing up there and calling, and all around here, wherever the other Natal Spur fowls are, they too will be standing on termite mounds or perhaps sitting in the branches of trees and making their territorial calls. Now, he was making a very interesting call. Let's just wait and see if he does it again. It's quite funny because he does this whole sort of head movement with it. It's not just that he stands there and opens his mouth and sings. He does a whole kind of complicated, it almost looks like he's vomiting out the notes. Come on, do it again. It's getting dark. Come on. He's watching us with great suspicion. You see, he's never seen Craig before, so I think he's quite suspicious of him. I am, of course, being entirely facetious. I don't know if this Franklin's ever seen any of us before, and if it had, whether it would recognize us or not. And he's just having a bit of a preen while he listens out for a response to his last call. And I can hear a few of them calling, but way in the distance. It's a gorgeous evening, it really is. We're heading towards the changing of the guard. I was just listening also to the sound of what seems to be hoof falls. Maybe coming down to Treehouse Dam to have a drink. We're not far from there. There we go. Watch him. Psh, 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 psh. Justin, you say, can me or Herbie, can Herbie or I do the call of the spur fowl? Look at that. Just shaking off the dust. Justin, I'll give it a go once this chap is, once we've finished with him. If I make the spur fowl call now, he's going to run away. Or fly away. Come on, spur fowl, sing. Craig getting tired. Alright, never mind. I think we'll probably carry on. Very cool. That's a really nice sighting. Okay, we're just past Treehouse Dam. We're going to make a fairly quick beeline. There we go. He keeps sort of doing it and then not. Alright, let's carry on. We're going to head towards quarantine. It's starting to get a little bit dark, and of course we want to be in the open. Come on then, Craig, let us leave that recalcitrant bird to itself, and I will just quickly tell you a story about the call of the Franklin. There used to be a there used to be these tapes, these bird tapes that you'd get, and I've told some of you this before, but the bird tapes or the bird CDs, and you'd load. Each track of the CD had about 20 bird calls on it, so you had to listen to all 20 before you get to the bird that you wanted. And the way they described what bird it was this very deadpan person would say the name of the bird, or the number, then the name of the bird, and then the call would come. And it was always so hilarious listening, mainly not so much to that one, but the Swainston's Spur Fowl on the CD used to go 457 Swainston's Spur Fowl. And that's my Franklin call. Let's head across to who we're going to. We're about to lose signal, so we're going to go to Byron and find out if he can do the call of the Natal Spur Fowl.
So we're back with the Lions, but I just heard that James wants, no, Rebecca. The Spur Natal Franklin. What is that? So James, I assume you said that you with the Natal Spur Fowl and you'd like me to do the call of the Natal Spur Fowl. So I can't do that call, unfortunately.
Oh, come on, Byron, try.
Oh, no, you know what? I'm gonna tell. No, it's actually no. I'm not even gonna attempt it just yet. It's first day back. I'm not gonna scare everybody away just yet. Give me a day or two to get back into it, and then I'll start with all the bird calls again. Let's focus on the Lions. They seem to have drifted apart slightly. A few of them have spread out, just lying in different areas now. Again, very little left of the carcass. So I think my original estimate of them finishing it this evening was correct. I don't think there'll be anything left here tomorrow. Maybe just a few remains, but I don't think these lions will be here. I think they will move off at some point during the course of the evening, probably move into a different area. It also depends, they're quite full, so they might not necessarily have to move very far, but possibly go and look for some water. Wow, look how strong that lioness is. It's amazing how they eat everything down to those ribs. There's very, very little left there. I always say this, but it's very peaceful watching lions, watching them feed. Even you just start. The quiet is just incredible. You hear the odd bird around, but you can just hear the lions panting, breathing very heavily with those full bellies. You can see that lioness, how full her stomach is. She's got a lot of meat in there. It's still very peaceful watching lions. So I'm going to sit with these lions a little bit longer and see what they get up to if they do decide to move off before the end of the show. But while I do that, speaking of peaceful, Taylor also has a peaceful view she would like to show you.
There's not many places on the property where you can get a view like we've got at the moment. And I think this is as good as we're going to get when it comes to a sunset this evening. But isn't that just spectacular? The beautiful golden light with a bit of pink and orange, and then of course the lovely darkness, I suppose, of the Drakensberg mountains. And it is really nice now because you can see just how the lush bush also stands out against all those different colors. It's amazing. We've got these dark blues, the bright green, the oranges and the reds and the pinks. That is absolutely spectacular. And I hope you're taking lots of screenshots too for this. Isn't this wonderful? But we're going to have to keep moving on now. We're going to hopefully bump into something wonderful. Now, Harriet, you were actually wondering, where does the name Drakensberg come from? That's a fantastic question because I have absolutely no idea. Rebecca, do you know? Rebecca, do you know where the name Drakensberg comes from? I'm going to ask Rebecca, who's directing the show today. Do you? Does she know? But no, she doesn't want to tell me. Rebecca knows the answer, but she doesn't want to tell me. Okay. But I'm going to have to learn the answer to that one because I'm actually not sure. Mountains, I'm from the Eastern Cape. Yes, well, David, hang on. Let's just take it back a notch there. David, as Rebecca's just pointed out, your family is of Afrikaans descent, so you should know what it means. So what does it mean, David? Tell everyone.
A drak is a dragon.
A drak is a dragon. This is what David's saying, yes? It's... Oh, wonderful. Okay, you see, now I can't speak Afrikaans because I have Australian parents, and I tried to learn it at school, but it was very, very difficult, unfortunately, when you only speak it for one lesson a day for about an hour every single day, and that was it. At school, my friends, no one else really spoke Afrikaans. Sadly, we all just spoke English, and so basically, it means mountain of the dragon, essentially. So a berg is a mountain, I know that one, but I didn't know that a drak was a dragon. So there we go, I learned something new. Fantastic, wonderful. But we're going to have to, yes, this is a terrible little spot that we've got to go through to get to safety. The gremlins, I can see them all lining up already, but we're going to go back now to Byron and those lions.
Still just the one lioness feeding. The rest seem very content. And they're resting at the back, but look at this lioness. She's still a lot of flies around there. As I said, usually when it starts getting a bit darker, they do start disappearing. Now watch how she chews with the side of her mouth. Yeah, it's actually a wonderful view there. You can see how she's chewing with those molars and premolars at the back of her mouth. And the reason for that is obviously the jawline. That's where all the muscle is. That's where all the power is, right at the back of the jaw. And so it's a bit easier to tear the meat and feed on it. But what happens is that those teeth actually form a sharpened edge and they overlap slightly. That's known as the carnassial shear. So these lions then, when they, not just the lions, other big cats too, but we can see it clearly now with this lioness, she'll use the front teeth to tear open the carcass or tear pieces of meat, but when she really wants to chew and feed on the tougher meat or tear the meat, she'll use the side of her mouth. I can hear her crunching. And Shark wanted to know how many lionesses are there here at the moment. Now, Shark, when I arrived, I only saw 3, but there are 4 lionesses in this pride. But I only saw 3. The other one could be lying around here somewhere. I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure how many were here this morning. How many adult lionesses? Maybe if some of you back home were watching this morning. Sorry, I beg your pardon. There are 5 lionesses in the Nkuhuma Pride, but I only saw 3. So I'm not sure if those of you watching this morning, if you got to see how many there were. If you can, let me know. But I only saw 3 adults, but all 6 cubs were here. So all 6 cubs are around, and then it was just the 3 lionesses, but I'm not sure if they were all here this morning. Sean. Sean, 10 years old, all the way from, was it California? Sean, hello to you. Sorry, Florida. Sean, hello to you. And you wanted to know, this is an interesting question, you wanted to know if any of us, or the guides, have seen a adult lioness, so a female lion, that's got a mane. I actually have seen a lioness with a full-grown mane. And I saw this actually in Botswana. I saw it about 2 years ago. I had a group of guests. We were out on safari, and there was a lioness in this area that was known by all the guides and lodgers within that area. And this lioness had a mane, just like a male lion. However, it was definitely a female. It was a lioness and not a male lion. Now, all that we could think of was she had a higher testosterone level, and which caused the mane to grow out. But it caused a lot of chaos almost, because what happened was these males would sometimes see this lioness and see the mane and then think it might be competition, and they'd come in with aggressive intent to see who this new male was. Then they'd see and then notice and smell and notice it was a lioness. But yeah, I have seen it. It doesn't happen often though, but I think it's happened twice in Botswana, if I'm not mistaken. But I did see one lioness like that, which is very interesting. But I think it's the hormones and testosterone probably were very, very high, and that caused the mane to grow, or the hair to grow a lot longer around the neck. But she was a female, which was very, very interesting. Just shows you, and speaking about that too, is that in nature you do get many different situations. Different scenarios that you can never really explain, but things do happen out here that we sometimes just have to observe and try to work it out as best as we can. Shelley, you wanted to know what age will these young male cubs start looking like adults. So Shelley, it depends. Usually from the age of from a year and a half to 2 years old, you already start seeing a mane under the throat, or just tufts of hair starting to grow and form that are a lot more prominent. But then as they get older, I'd say the age of about 4 or 5 years old, you really start seeing that mane coming out, and probably by about the age of 6 or so, they've probably got a full mane by that age, 6 going on 7. Then they'll look like proper big males. Alright, let's sit here a little bit longer. Let's go and see what Taylor is up to.
I'm just panning.
Something else that nature has got to offer, other than the beautiful animals that it provides, is we looked at the Drakensberg mountains earlier with the beautiful sunset. And now look at this reflection that this leadwood is, reflecting into the water. And isn't it beautiful that you just get the odd color coming from the sunset as well? And I was just saying to David that I wish that there were lily pads in this little pan over here, because this would be the perfect habitat for a jacana, which is a bird with very long feet that hops around on the lily pads looking for various things to eat, but they're very specific. Oh, and we've got some impala that have come to join us. Oh, wow. Thank you, madam. That was perfectly timed. Well done, David. A big leap. Let's see if the boys are going to follow. Come on, boys. She did a fantastic leap over there. Surely you should be able to give a... Woo! Beautiful. Right? I give that about about a 6 out of 10. The girl got 9. Here he comes. Here comes your chance. And you're just going to walk. You get a -5 out of 10 for that performance, Mr. Impala. You're supposed to strut yourself and show us how you can leap. But he didn't. And so the girls win once again. No, I'm only teasing, of course. We're all equal and we're all just as good as each other. But we're back finally safe and sound on Djuma now. And I was hoping we were going to get another surprise of Marula and her 2 lovely cubs waiting for us over here. But they obviously didn't get the message this afternoon. Oh, that was a small shrub on the road. We'll just carry on going. But let's have a look. Let's check Twin Dams quickly. Well, the other side of Twin Dams. Go onto the dam wall. Maybe there's something spectacular waiting for us. I bet it's going to be the Egyptian geese that live here. Where are they? Maybe they've gone home already. Oh, I lose. David, I lost. We didn't find anything. There's nothing here. It is also a very nice reflection of the clouds. Yes, I suppose we won with that. We are winning with reflections this afternoon. And it's something that I think we all overlook, is that we just sort of drive past and you don't think, oh, that one's nice, David. Look at this side. Now, of course, just a reminder to everybody that James has gone to bed now, and it's not because he needs to go to bed early. It's just because the sun has dropped behind the horizon. It becomes a little bit dangerous, of course, for James and Herbert and Craig to be out when there's not good light when you're walking around. But that is another fantastic view. I think this afternoon's drive has probably been the best drive I've had so far of 2017. Hey, don't you think, David? This has really been pleasant. We both agreed that... Now I've forgotten her name. How do you say her name again? Kuchava. Sorry. I need to learn her name properly now. We both agree that's one of our favorite leopards. She put on a beautiful show for us. And then with all these beautiful views that we've had this afternoon, it's something that we've really missed over the last couple of days with all the clouds and the rain that we've had. And it's really only after you've missed out on a week or so that you really appreciate the beauty again. And again, this is a problem with guides, is we become complacent and we forget about all this amazing just beauty that is surrounding us. And it's important when you're out here, whether you just drop guests off at the airport or if you're doing what we're doing, just take a moment just to appreciate everything. And I'm going to sit quietly just for a couple of seconds just so you can hear the birds. It's really peaceful, and what would have topped that off would have been to have either a lion roaring in the distance or a hyena doing its beautiful whooping call. That would have been superb. You can start hearing the frogs though. Is that a bird in the tree there? It looks like a go-away bird. Is it, or is it a stick? I think it is just a stick, David.
Yeah.
I think it's a stick. It's not a bird. We take it back. It's a lesser spotted stick. But wonderful. This is amazing. Like I said, it's been so incredible, and we don't know what we're going to find just yet. We're going to venture up and along Twin Dams Road now. But while we do that, and hopefully we find something along the way, Byron is still with the Nkuhumas, so let's go back across and see what they're doing now.
I wonder what Taylor's interested in finding or looking for. Maybe a chameleon. I don't know when last was this chameleon spotted?
Yeah, like 2 days ago.
Okay, so you've been seeing a few more chameleons. I looked during December and I couldn't find one. Maybe it was the iced tea I was drinking. This lioness has not stopped. She's really enjoying the remains of this buffalo. I did hear some vultures in the trees behind us. I can't see them now, and we're starting to lose a bit of light. But I did hear the wings of vultures behind us. I do think there are a few around, but I can't see them, unfortunately, so I can't show them to you just yet. But I'm sure they would have been attracted by this kill earlier today, and I think they've just been hiding in some of the canopies of these trees, which is unusual for vultures. But I think they possibly the hooded vultures, the slightly smaller ones. And I say it's unlikely because vultures tend to prefer landing in bare trees where there's not a lot of thick bushes or branches and leaves. Because of their big wingspan, it's a bit difficult for them to land. However, these vultures are sitting in the canopy of these trees around us. We'll see if we can find one or two later. We saw a few of the cubs are actually saying some of the cubs moved off probably about 30 or 40 meters away. Can't really see them now. Did hear the one lioness call them and they lifted their heads, but their heads are down again. So they're not too far. They're still quite close. They'll stay in this area. Now, Janet, you wanted to know why there are no males around today. So, Janet, I'm not sure where the males are at the moment. And it's not a case of the lionesses keeping the males away. All that happened was, I think, these lionesses killed the buffalo by themselves, and they managed to feed on the carcass with the cubs and bring the cubs to the carcass. But the males do patrol very large territories, Janet. So what happens is, these lionesses might make this kill over here, but these males could possibly have met up with females from a different pride, and they may have made a kill in another area. Or even the males may have made a kill by themselves. So a lot of variables. They're not always together. These males are they're the territorial males that move between different prides. So they've got a very large territory. They do not stay within a specific pride all the time. They patrol this territory, keep out other lions, other threats, and then they will try and mate with as many females as possible. So they're not always with the pride, or with this pride, with the Nkuhuma Pride, but they do meet up with them on occasion. No updates, so one station still with the pride of Zoe's Road. Looks like she's got a bit of a scratch on her shoulder there. Now that could be from anything. It could be maybe during the hunt, possibly a horn or something like that, or while she was feeding, maybe one of the other lionesses got aggressive with her, or it's perhaps an older wound that maybe one of the males gave to her. It's not uncommon to see scars, battle scars or wounds on lions. They often fight and regularly have scars, but they do heal very, very quickly. So it's not necessarily something to be concerned about. Look how full that belly is of that guy. Isn't that amazing? Oh, where is she pulling it to? It's incredible. I think, this lioness, she hasn't stopped feeding. I think even from when we left them earlier. Or they stopped briefly. I'm not sure if it's the same one. I don't think so. I think it's a different one. But she fed and then moved off and then I think came back again. But hasn't stopped feeding now for quite some time. Try and get every last little bit they can from their carcass. And again, it's purely a case of them just not knowing when their next meal is. So they do take full advantage of having this buffalo. Eat as much as they can until there's nothing left. Justin, you wanted to know if we had to go and snack on this buffalo carcass, what parasites would we get? Justin, if we had to go now, we'd probably pick up some parasites and probably nasty disease, maybe from the fly larvae or anything that's on the buffalo. If it was a fresh kill, if you went and cut a piece of the meat away, you'd be fine. You could easily eat that and there'd be nothing wrong. But because it's been standing for the day and the lions have been feeding all the, having their saliva and that over them, the enzymes and the diseases that the lions carry. It's not diseases, it's bacteria. It's bacteria that they carry, and that for us would not be very good at all, and we'd probably get violently ill. But generally, if you, not that you would, but if you found a buffalo carcass that the lions had just killed and you went and chased the lions away and got some meat from them, you could feed on it, you'd be fine. You could cook the meat, no problem, because it will be fresh meat. And I know the Maasai warriors up in East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, they do that. They will go and chase lions off of a kill at times to take parts of the carcass, but they will then still leave a lot of meat left there or for the lions to go back and feed on. So they don't take all of it. They're very respectful of the lions, and it's amazing how these tribes have learned to live in harmony with the predators and the wildlife in those areas. Alright, we're going to sit and watch these lions for a few more minutes. See them carry on feeding. Now, Taylor's driving in the dark. Let's see where she's driving to.
We are indeed driving in the dark. And just because we had the most amazing sunset this evening, it was different. I want to show you a video. Now, this morning I was out very early helping track some animals. And that angle's good, hey, Darby? Now, I wanted to play you. Look at this. Oh, hang on. I need to turn the sound off. Oh, no, it does. Look how cool that is. Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? And this is on Zoe's Road. Can you believe it? So tomorrow morning, I think I'm walking in the morning. But the next morning that we drive, hopefully, we're going to go and do exactly the same thing as what I did here. What do you think, David? Sound like a good idea, hey? Anyway, it goes on and on and on, but you get the idea. I just thought it was quite beautiful, the way that the sun... I didn't realize that road actually could, give you a view like that. Especially with the beautiful long grass now. I don't think in winter you would get the same view, unfortunately, but summer now, it's really just changed the bush. Let's see, David, can we get another chameleon? I think so. I think tonight is perfect chameleon weather, and maybe we will find another little one sitting on the edge of a branch somewhere. I've remembered how to spot them again. Oh, you want to go this way? David's directing me. He's my GPS stop. He says he wants to go towards Treehouse Dam. So, David, we shall go towards Treehouse Dam for you. I mean, we're a little bit far off though. But now, how's this? I just think this is amazing. You saw how small the tiny chameleon was, or the ones we've been seeing. Oh, now I've got to find it again. Can I find it again? Yes. David, can you see that thing there? The moth. Yes. Is it? Where the stick is. Oh, there we go. You've got it. Perfect. Look at that. Isn't that tiny? Now, that is the size of my fingernail, if not even smaller. And it gives the same reflection as a chameleon would. There's sort of a white glow. I'm trying to keep out of the shot, but I think it could be my spotlight. I apologize. But isn't that precious? Now, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's going to catch our eye with typically a white reflection. Oh, no. Rebecca has just fed me the saddest of sad newses. Unfortunately, my time has run out to try and find your chameleon, so we'll have to try again tomorrow afternoon. But it has been wonderful to see a new leopard, Kuchava, and of course the sunsets and the reflections were all wonderful too. But from myself and David, we hope to see you tomorrow on the sunrise safari, but we're going to shoot back across to Byron now and spend the last minutes with the Nkuhumas.
Thank you very much, Taylor. I'm also glad you got to see a new leopard. Lovely afternoon. And it's been exciting to sit with these lions too and see all the feeding activity. We were lucky, it was a cooler afternoon and they were more active, which was really, really fantastic. What a great welcome back gift, I think, for me. Well, I really hope you've all enjoyed this afternoon or the sunset safari with us. As I said, it's great to be back. I'm so excited. I'm here for a few weeks again. So looking forward to many, many more sightings with all of you. And more questions and all the rest, everything that comes with Safari Life. And I'm going to be leaving these lions soon. Thank you very much to the ladies in the FC, Rebecca and Kirst and Jerry. And then thank you to Taylor and Dave. And of course, James and Craig, he was on camera with him this afternoon. Brian and the Thumb, thank you very, very much. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye and good night.